I have to stand on tiptoe, I guess. My name is Cecilia Wigley. I'm the branch chief out at Ames Research Center for Flight Systems Implementation Branch. I'm here to give you a slightly different perspective on implementation partners, not so much as an implementation partner, but as what we can do in helping you take your ground-based experiment and moving it into a flight-based experiment and understanding that unique environment. Next. So Ames has a long history of supporting life sciences experiments. You heard a lot yesterday about some of the different specimens that has flown. We have done cell research, supported animal research, both vertebrate and invertebrate, microbiology research, plant research. And you can see on the right-hand side a list of some of the sample specimens that many of our PIs have studied over the last 20 plus years. Next. So Ames' history of working in the life sciences goes all the way back to the 1960s and the Gemini days, and has continued through Apollo, Skylab, on into Space Shuttle and ISS. We've also worked the MIR program, have done some free flyers in the nano-satellite area. Next. This is kind of our standard template for taking a PI from his ground-based research to flight. So when we have a PI that's been selected, we work with them to make sure that they have their experiment requirements defined and how they're going to take that ground-based research and put it into that unique spaceflight environment. We do have the capabilities for doing the full implementation from hardware development, certification, all that paperwork, but our real expertise that we'd like to offer is that upfront, how do you take a ground-based research and move it into the flight environment. Next. We've got a wide range of hardware that we've worked with. Some of it you've seen from some of the other partners here today. In terms of cell biology, we have the cell culture module, which is actually a DoD piece of hardware operated by Tissue Genesis. Most recently flew on 131. The workhorse of Ames hardware has always been the animal enclosure module. We've had over 24 flights on the shuttle and have our final flight coming up here in November. We provide that as a habitat for rodents, mice, and rats. Are now finishing up a study on the feasibility of moving an animal habitat to station and being able to continue long-duration rodent research on station. Next. Other hardware, single-loop cell culture came out of the Space Station Biological Research Project. That's available for cell work. We have what we call our ARC canister, which can be used for microbial cultures. It's a very passive system, so it doesn't require a lot of power. You can stick it into an on-orbit incubator, freeze it down. Next. We have a whole series of Microwell Incubators that we've used on free flyers, GeneSat, FarmSat, and OREOs. These kinds of Microwell Incubators would work very nicely in the CubeSat containers you heard about earlier from the University of Kentucky group. And we'll be looking to move these Microwell microfluidics plates over to ISS for use for research. Next. We're branching out a little bit from life sciences. As of last week, we've officially taken over the Spheres payload. This was a DARPA DoD developed payload, and Ames will now be the implementing organization for this, and it's basically a test bed. It's currently on station for developing algorithms for satellite systems. It's also a great educational outreach activity, and we'll be running a Summer of Innovation experiment next week with a group of students in the MIT area. So that should be a lot of fun. Next. So kind of in summary, for over 50 years, we've been leading life sciences research in the non-human biological experiment area, wide range of spectrums, working with other centers throughout NASA, working with our international partners. We have a well-defined expertise and experience in working with PIs, basically to define, develop, and get your payloads on, because if you've heard several times throughout the last couple of days, moving from ground-based to space flight is a very unique environment with a lot of things you have to take into consideration. So what we're here to offer is basically consulting services to PIs that want to get some more information on what they need to do to move their ideas over to a spaceflight environment. Next. And basically, it's contact information. Ken Souza is our program scientist at Ames. Sid Sun is the ISS Research Projects Director, Manager at Ames, and then my contact information is there. So, and we'll be floating around here for the next couple of days. If you have any questions, please feel free to grab me in the hallway.